It's the seventh largest country in the world, with a population second only to China's. India sends satellites into space, makes giant telescopes, and has today become a real contender in the technology race. But the Hindus also enjoy an ancient and very special relationship with the sky. They consider the planets to be divinities, which have an influence on human destiny. This cult of the planets paved the way for astrological beliefs, which for centuries now have been a major part of many Hindus' lives. A huge number of astrologers rub shoulders with temples devoted to the planets. Mythical tales and astrological predictions are interrelated and coexist with modern science. Come with me as I discover unique kinds of observatories, the perfect illustration of this traditional link between astronomy and Indian astrology.
Here in the furnace of New Delhi, I have an appointment with an astronomer. In an attempt to track her down, I'm heading for a Jantar Mantar observatory.
Jantar Mantar is Sanskrit for calculating instrument, the name for these observatories without any kind of telescope, built in the 18th century by Jai Singh II, a Maharaja and astronomy buff. As symbols of power and the ability to control time, these observatories fulfilled not only scientific, but also political and religious needs. But Jai Singh II was also a great popularizer, who wanted this knowledge to be available to all. Rathnasri Nandivada from the Nehru Planetarium is going to help me understand how these amazing stone instruments work.
Rathnasri, this is absolutely magnificent, but it feels like being in an amphitheater. It's a sort of theater, isn't it?
Yeah, even here people when they come newly, they are not aware of it. They think it's a bhul-bhulaiya, a maze to get lost in. But this is a very practical construction to observe the position of objects in the sky. So this, as you see, this is called Ram Yantra, and as you see, this is a cylinder. It's a cylindrical instrument. So the entire sky is reflected in the sky. Every point in the sky is a point on this cylinder, either on the floor or on the wall. So the wall height, and you see there is a central gnomon, this height and this length, this radial length, they are all equal. So what happens with this is that you can measure, one thing you can measure with this is angular height in the sky, how high an object is.
If I understand you correctly, we have this gnomon here. So if a star crosses the sky and passes by the gnomon, I just have to go, for example, down here at this height, let's say, and check the elevation of the star? Is that right?
Yes. You keep your eye level with this scale, and put your eye here in the gap. Then what happens is, against the gnomon if you watch, so you can observe the altitude of an object, or in this direction you measure the azimuth.
Whether rising or falling, the course of the stars through the sky isn't straight. To measure a star's movement, the astronomers would draw a virtual line between them and the star via the gnomon or central pillar. Throughout the night, hour after hour, they could note the vertical and horizontal coordinates, known as the altitude and azimuth of the star.
The problem here is that it only works for stars that are high enough in the sky. If the star is a lot lower on the horizon, you'd have to climb up there to measure it, right?
Closer to 0 degrees all the way to the top.
You'd have to go up there to take the measurements.
Okay. Doing astronomy here can be quite a sporty activity.
Little bit of exercise, but
Okay.
so you need helper there to stand so that your eye direction is parallel to this.
So here,
Yes, parallel to that. And if your eye is placed there and you look against
And the stars at that height.
Yes, and so you get for nighttime objects, or any object you look at directly. You can't look directly at the sun. So for the sun you have to have the shadow.
What I do know is that in this observatory, I'd never be able to observe a star setting on the horizon because I'd have to climb to the top of the wall. That's not for me.
in the time of Jai Singh II, this part of the observatory, the Ram Yantra, was entirely devoted to measuring space, or more precisely, the heavenly sphere. In modern terms, What the Maharaja was doing was astrometry, measuring the position of the heavenly bodies. This enabled the astronomers to not only map the sky, but also to follow the course of the planets across the heavens through the seasons, to fix the dates of the solstices and equinoxes, and therefore to establish calendars for religious rituals and the cycle of agricultural activities. Next, I travel 300 kilometers southwest of Delhi to Jaipur in Rajasthan, a city surrounded by wooded hills, lakes, and forts. No other region in India has so many palaces, citadels, and multicolored bazaars. Jai Singh II, the astronomer Maharaja, didn't just have his palace built here. He conceived and designed the entire Pink City on foundations based on a sacred architecture. In fact, the city is divided into 9 neighborhoods, which symbolize 9 divinities, the 9 planets of Hindu cosmology. At the heart of his ideal city, the Maharaja had another monumental stone observatory built. By the time of Jai Singh II, Galileo's telescope had been in use throughout Europe for over a century, along with the knowledge that the Earth revolves around the Sun, and that the planets are other worlds, sometimes with their own moons, like ours. This knowledge had reached as far as Asia, and Jai Singh II had treated himself to an astronomical telescope too, but it was less precise for measuring the position of the heavenly bodies than these huge stone instruments. Oh, it's magnificent. This is a beautiful astronomical instrument. It's quite incredible. What's more, I understand more or less how it works. It's fairly easy to explain. The sun casts a shadow onto this huge sort of sundial. Throughout the day, the shadow climbs up, and you can measure the time.
Yes.
With its gradations engraved in marble, the Brihat Samrat Yantra was designed to follow the course of the sun. This giant sundial faces south, with the morning sundial on the left, the afternoon one on the right, and in the center, exactly aligned with the rotation of the Earth, the 27-meter-high wall casts its shadow over both halves of the sundial. This astronomical clock looks incredibly precise, but the actual shadow cast by the sun is quite blurry. Is it really possible to get an exact measurement?
Yes. It seems like when you look at this, there's such a broad penumbra, and where is the umbra-penumbra division? And so it seems like, how can you take precise measurements with this? But few tricks can be used, and we can get around that.
I don't see it at all.
Okay, roughly this is where it is ending. So I look at the shadow, not very thick one, but something very thin, like my hair.
Okay.
So I move my head like this and see where the hair shadow is disappearing. I say, okay, there.
That's very precise.
Where was that? It was here, this one. So then what happens? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, and so that's 54, 48. 1, 5, 48 seconds, because each is actually 6 seconds. 6 seconds, and here inside is 2 seconds.
It's very precise.
6 seconds, huh? Right? So this is very precise, as you say, and this looks imprecise.
Oui.
But we can get around it by doing this little trick with the hair.
An astronomical clock made of stone 4 centuries ago, and which could practically last forever, will only really stop working when the sun stops shining in 4 billion years or so. The city palace was the residence of Maharaja Jai Singh II. Part of the palace is nowadays open to the public, while the rest is still lived in by the Maharaja's descendants. I am met by Om Prakash, the former director of the Jantar Mantar. He invites me into this architectural jewel, which has some very precious archives. Om Prakash shows me a 300-year-old encyclopedic atlas. This book from 1725 and written in Latin was sent from Europe at the request of Jai Singh II. It's a comprehensive survey of geographical and astronomical knowledge and was used by the Maharaja for studying Western astronomy. The book explains the workings of optical astronomy, the famous Galilean revolution. It also contains information about all the planets known at the time and their orbits around the Sun. With his astronomical knowledge and instruments of great precision, Jai Singh II was able to improve the astronomical ephemerides, the tables which make it possible to calculate the position of all the heavenly bodies visible in the sky at a precise moment in a specified place. His new measurements were recorded in a book he wrote himself.
Ah, ça, c'est le fameux livre de Jai Singh.
Yes, astronomical observations tables written by Maharaja Jai Singh himself.
Ah.
And
Ça, je suis pressé de voir ça, oui. On peut l'ouvrir?
please read this book.
Ah, ok, d'accord. Il faut le protéger, oui. Ça, c'est très, très précieux.
Jai Singh taken the observations of the planets and stars daily, and they write the tables, make a tables of the observation of the planet and stars. Once a Maharaja empire, Mr. Muhammad Shah, said to Jai Singh that you can taken the observations of the instruments in observatories. Please give me your tables and the planetary positions. So Jai Singh write a book in Persian language, and there are the tables of the sun, moon, Mars, planet, everything, and daily position of the planets, the degrees, the declination, the altitude of the planets, everything is right in the table according to tables.
Mais comment toute cette histoire a commencé? Comment Jai Singh a découvert sa passion pour l'astronomie?
Yes, from the age of the 13, Maharaja Jai Singh have the interest in astronomy, in the religious and everything, architecture and other things. He is very too much interested. He study by the astronomical literature, 3 books of the astronomy. Jai Singh study and help of the other astronomers. He create the interest in day by the help of sun, and night by the help of moon and other stars, zodiac signs. He was interested. So interest of Maharaja create himself, because he want to know, because astronomy is a practical study. So sometimes the difference in Almanac calendars, so Jai Singh do not like to difference in planetary positions. He say that we see, that is a calculation. It is this calculation is a right calculation. It is true. Jai Singh built the 5 observatories in India because he want to know the different latitude and longitudes. What is the difference of the planets position by the sunrise and sunset?
To follow the course of the heavenly bodies, Jai Singh II, like all astronomers, used the constellations as reference points. These are those imaginary figures passed down to us from the ancient world, forms sketched in the sky by joining the dots of the brightest stars. Cassiopeia, the Great Bear, Orion. The entire celestial sphere is marked out by 88 of them in all, with 12 of them, the constellations of the zodiac, in a narrow band of the sky, in front of which the planets of our solar system are turning in their orbits around the Sun. It was the Mesopotamians, 2,500 years ago, who divided up this 360-degree band into 12 equal sections, each with its own imaginary figure. This band of the zodiac is the basic starting point of astrologists. In the 20th century, a 13th constellation, Ophiuchus, the Serpent Bearer, was added by astronomers. It's located in a part of the band of the zodiac between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Great astronomer that he was, Jai Singh II could not disassociate his learning from the Hindu culture that is so heavily steeped in astrology, and his scientific understanding of the celestial clockworks was put at the service of his people's beliefs. Here at the observatory in Jaipur, he designed a magnificent stone instrument by which to follow the planet's course against the backdrop of the zodiac.
une sphère céleste creusée dans le sol. Qu'est-ce que c'est, Prakash?
This instrument name is Jai Prakash. Jai indicates to Jai Singh. Prakash means it is work the light, sunlight, and instrument. Okay, divided in two parts, A and B.
Oui.
The blank part of the A complete in B. The blank part of the B complete in A. This instrument work alternate 1 hour. The plate shadow indicate to sun and move taken the round of with the sun. Okay, so the plate shadow on the marble stone. Now we will see. We will go inside
Okay.
and see to.
D'accord. Bon, moi je vais m'approcher un peu parce que c'est vraiment trop beau.
This is the equator, and here is the Capricorn. Sorry, Cancer, and here is the Capricorn. Sun enter in the sign of zodiac Aries, according to new solar year. In Aries, on the 22nd of March, okay, and work just like Aries, okay, Taurus, Gemini, in the observation easily.
In astrology, your star sign is determined by the constellation which the sun is in on the day of your birth. Observing the sky from the Earth as the seasons pass, you'll see the sun pass through a different constellation each month. Over the course of the year, it passes through the entire band of the zodiac. Benares, one of the most ancient cities on earth, on the banks of the sacred river Ganges. Here, spirituality seeps out of every stone. Gurus and sadhus are everywhere, just as practicing astrologers. Here you consult the stars about the most propitious time to start a new business, marry off your daughter, and plant or harvest your crops. Everyday life is steeped in these beliefs that the stars have a decisive influence on each and every person's life. Astrology is even taught as a discipline at the university. For centuries in India, astrology has been just one part of a much wider discipline, Jyotisha, the science of celestial light, which takes a great deal from Hindu cosmogony. At the theology department of the Benares Hindu University, I meet the very eminent professor of astrology, Dr. Ram Chandra Pandey.
This is the university. There is 8 department. This faculty is called Sanskrit Learning and Theology. There is 8 department, and one of them is the astronomy or astrology, both combined. Department of Jyotish.
Dr. Chandra Pandey is a very respected personality. Each appearance he makes is an event in itself, and he is a guest at conferences all over the world.
Ici, à l'université de Varanasi, dans la chaire d'astrologie, vous formez combien d'astrologues par an et comment se déroule cette formation?
25 छात्र प्रति कक्षा. तो यहाँ पर 5 कक्षाएं होती हैं, 2 शास्त्री की, 3 शास्त्री की, 2 आचार्य की, और ऐसी इतनी ही कक्षाएं एस्ट्रोनॉमी में, इतनी ही एस्ट्रोलॉजी में.
Et en quoi consiste cet enseignement?
हमारे यहाँ 2 सिस्टम है. एक तो बुक किताब के आधार पर पढ़ाते हैं, और किताब को एक्सप्लेन करने के समझाने के लिए कुछ हमारे इंडियन ओल्डेस्ट इंस्ट्रूमेंट हैं, उनके सहारे उनको हम समझाते हैं. ये ज्योतिष एक बहुत प्राचीन विज्ञान है, और इसमें लोगों का एक स्वाभाविक रुचि होती है इसको जानने के लिए. नॉट ज्योतिष केवल एस्ट्रोलॉजी से नहीं जाना जा सकता है. ज्योतिष का सही अर्थ देने वाला कोई एक शब्द नहीं है. ज्योतिष, एस्ट्रोनॉमी, एस्ट्रोलॉजी और एक ब्रांच फिर भी इसकी शेष रह जाती है, जिसको संहिता कहते हैं. हमारे यहाँ किसी भी चीज़ के, चाहे पृथ्वी हो चाहे ग्रह हो, उनके 2 रूप माने जाते हैं, एक फिजिकल और एक स्पिरिचुअल. तो जो वर्शिप पूजा में रखे जाते हैं वो उस देवता का एक रूप, स्पिरिचुअल रूप होता है जिसकी पूजा करते हैं, और एक फिजिकल रूप है जिसको हम एस्ट्रोनॉमी और एस्ट्रोलॉजी में उसको कैलकुलेट करते हैं.
Hindus have no doubt whatsoever about the influence the heavens have on life on earth. The Mahabharata, the seminal work of Hindu philosophy, begins with a huge battle which takes place during a total eclipse of the sun and ends with the appearance of Vishnu, the supreme god. In the Hindu pantheon, there are 9 divinities closely linked to the 9 planets. Here in Benares, a great many temples are devoted to these divinities. People come to pray every day, even several times a day. They invoke Venus, Veli, for financial matters, the moon, Tingal, in case of illness, and Mars, Sevier, for marriages or other alliances.
ये नवग्रह हैं, नवग्रह देवता जो होते हैं वो जैसे हमारे कुंडली में, सबके कुंडली में उसी तरह आपकी भी कुंडली होती है। उस कुंडली पत्रा में ये नवग्रह जन्म के समय, जिस समय आदमी का जन्म होता है, वो एक एक घर में बैठते हैं। कुल 12 घर होते हैं, जिसमें से एक एक घर में एक एक देवता का स्थान होता है। उसी तरह इस मंदिर में हर देवता के बगल में स्थापित है। जिस तरह इंसान के ग्रह अपने मुताबिक चलते हैं, वो उसी के मुताबिक उसकी पूरी जीवन चलती है। ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई भी विपरीत चलता है। जो ऊपर प्रकृति के हिसाब से नवग्रह जिसको मानते हैं आप, सूर्य, चंद्रमा, बृहस्पति, ये सारे लोग ये ग्रह हैं जो हमारे ग्रहों को इनका दर्शन पूजन करने, जिसके वजह से उसके घर में तमाम विपत्तियां आती हैं। तो उसका एक ही विकल्प होता है कि जैसे मान लीजिए शनि आपके बिगड़े हैं तो उनको शनिवार को दिया जलाइए, थोड़ा से लोहा है वो रखिए, थोड़ा से तिल रखिए, उसके बाद जलाइए यहाँ, तो वो ग्रह उनका जो भोजन होता है उनको प्राप्त होता है, उससे वो शांत होते हैं। और जब वो शांत होते हैं तो आपके हर बुरे काम अच्छे काम में परिवर्तन हो जाते हैं।
In the night of this millennia-old city, the place where Buddha, it is said, achieved enlightenment, pilgrims from all over India come to perform religious ceremonies. Every evening on the banks of the sacred river, the Ganga Arti ritual is performed in celebration of the goddess Ganges. In the sky, the twinkling of the stars provides a backdrop to the red glow from the ritual cremations. I find myself troubled by the fervor of this sacred city, a city in which Maharaja Jai Singh II also built an observatory entirely out of stone. I reflect on his strange vision of the heavens, both rational and magical, and I'm reminded of the words of Nietzsche, the author of Thus Spoke Zarathustra. For he said that what matters is not so much what is true, as that which helps us to live.